Imagine dropping $1,000 on a massive 16-core processor to build the ultimate gaming rig. You boot up your favorite heavy title, expecting frame rates to skyrocket, and it performs exactly the same as a chip that costs half the price. This discrepancy exists because we often treat processors like car engines, assuming that adding more cylinders under the hood, or in this case, more processing cores, automatically results in a higher top speed. In reality, a processor is a massive execution plant where the cores are individual workers. They cannot generate their own momentum. They are entirely dependent on the specific lists of instructions handed down by the operating system. When a program only provides one task at a time, a high-core processor becomes a factory of idle employees. While one worker handles the workload, the other 15 stand by with nothing to do. Raw computing potential is inert until a program's instructions provide the blueprint for dividing the labor. Software capability determines the value of hardware. To understand how a computer delegates that labor, we have to look at the workers themselves. A physical CPU core is an independent, miniature processor housed inside the larger chip, capable of executing its own separate stream of mathematical instructions. Early personal computers relied on a single core. To run a word processor and a background application at the same time, that core jumped between tasks with enough speed to create the illusion of multitasking. As engineering evolved, manufacturers shrank transistors to pack multiple physical cores onto one chip. They also introduced threads, a virtual solution that acts like a second pair of hands for a physical core, allowing it to juggle overlapping instructions. Threads increase efficiency rather than raw power. If one set of instructions pauses while waiting for data from system memory, the core instantly swaps to the second thread, ensuring the physical hardware never wastes a microsecond sitting idle. Cores and threads provide a CPU with immense parallel capacity, but that hardware remains dormant unless the software is designed with the right kind of logic. Software logic falls into two distinct categories. The first is sequential logic, used by web browsers and document editors, and the majority of video games. Here, the math is linear. Step B cannot begin until Step A is finished. This diagram illustrates the sequential bottleneck. One lane completes tasks while surrounding cores sit empty. Speed relies on clock speed, but parallel logic works differently. It shatters colossal jobs into independent math problems, distributing them across every available core simultaneously. Multi-core architectures dominate parallel scenarios. Even if individual cores run at lower speeds, 20 workers churning through calculations side by side will easily outpace a single lightning-fast core trying to finish the entire sequence alone. Performance is a matter of alignment. Raw single-core speed fuels strict sequences, while high core counts provide the engine for parallel division. Cramming dozens of these processing units onto a single piece of silicon introduces physical penalties. While each core has its own execution units, they must share the memory controller and the L3 cache. When too many cores fire simultaneously, they fight for these limited internal resources, resulting in communication gridlock. Massive multi-core activity also generates extreme heat. To stay within safe thermal limits, the processor will automatically dial back its overall clock speed, slowing down every core on the chip. Beyond a certain threshold, excess cores become a liability. Their physical density and heat output can trigger a system-wide slowdown, throttling the performance of the cores actually doing the work. Navigating the hardware market requires matching processor architecture directly to your daily workflow. For browsing, office apps, and streaming, 4 to 6 cores is the ideal baseline. This provides enough overhead for background services and browser tabs without overspending on unused silicon. Most gamers hit peak efficiency at 6 to 8 cores. Game engines prioritize high clock speeds for sequential logic, making those extra cores in a high-end chip unnecessary for frame rate performance. This matrix shows where the massive 12 to 32 core architectures belong. These chips are specialized tools for creative professionals and scientists running parallel software that can actually put the entire chip to work. Stepping outside your specific tier can be counterproductive. When a game runs on a 32-core chip, the software ignores the majority of the hardware, while the overall clock speed drops to manage the heat. resulting in lower performance than a mid-range processor. A powerful machine relies on the precise alignment between silicon and software. Maximum performance is achieved when the physical core count matches the specific logic requirements of the programs you run every day.